I'm so excited to introduce you all to Mike Kosak, Senior Solutions Engineer at Glean. Mike and his team at Glean are specifically wanting to chat with you today about building the superintelligent enterprise. So this will be a good one. This will be a fun one. Mike will be fielding his own Q&A, so this is your reminder to drop your questions in the Q&A tab throughout the presentation. With that, Mike, welcome to the stage.
All right. Hey, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. My name is Mike Kosak. I'm a senior solution engineer at Glean. And today we're going to talk a little bit about what we call the superintelligent enterprise. So the AI industry today is really obsessed with this concept of superintelligence. If you look at the North Star for most of the model provider companies, you'll see that it's really to deliver this superintelligence. This scales beyond human intelligence dramatically. And our goal at Glean is to really take that same concept and goal, but adapt it to the enterprise to ultimately create the superintelligent enterprise. So really simply put, what a superintelligent enterprise is a company that's leveraging AI to win their market, to deliver better products, to deliver better experiences, and to deliver best-in-class efficiency, ultimately to be able to outpace everyone in their market. And so as we go through today, we're going to talk a little bit about how Glean customers are working towards achieving that goal. So I'll go to the next slide. And talking a little bit about this, so when you look at companies undergoing that transformation towards this superintelligence, we typically see with the companies that we work with two different goals or two different sides of that equation. The first being the use of AI to drive revenue, so finding ways to reimagine the customer experience so that you can ship and iterate products faster. They also reinvent the customer experience in order to build better loyalty, just really driving that experience. On the flip side, there's also a strong belief that AI can help decrease OpEx. So that's using it to decrease customer acquisition costs, the cost of support, back office software, operational costs, things that traditionally you might have had to outsource or offshore, become things that you can manage really efficiently through the use of AI. So some of the key goals here are ways that our customers tend to evaluate this is just through a dollars per employee lens. How can I drive higher revenue using the same number of employees, working more efficiently with AI? When this all comes together, we kind of see this evolutionary process within a company typically follow a common trajectory, whether it's specific to employees, specifically to departments. I mean, we'll start to see some of that unfold as we go through the presentation today. So at Glean, we have some of the largest customers in the world that are delivering on this promise of superintelligent enterprise. Citigroup is a great partner of ours, for example. They were able to reimagine the way that they serve their customers through their wealth management business. Uber is another one. They were able to deliver really dramatic improvements in engineering productivity, seeing over 200 million in savings. And when I look across the board at these customer logos, these companies are all well on their way on that path to becoming superintelligent enterprises. So it's really fun to see. We're blessed at Glean to partner with such great organizations. And we'll talk a little bit about the way that some of them are accomplishing some of that goals next. So as we work with these companies, there's a visible pattern with these success stories where we see employees and departments start to work a lot faster with their existing tasks, asking themselves, how can I speed things up with my day-to-day? How can I do what I already do faster? This levels them up. They start to deflect existing work. And ultimately, we tend to see that there's kind of this like light bulb moment when they realize they can actually start to use AI in ways where it's not just enhancing existing processes, but creating new ways of doing things that weren't possible before. So maybe it's making use of data with every decision, mass analysis of customers in bulk. We see the final rung of this evolution kind of happens when the people and the organization start to deploy personal agents to do work on their behalf. We'll see some of this in the demo today, but this is where AI can really start to get proactive, and it's not just helping you, but it's actually doing work for you. So that's what you get when we start to see kind of that, like this concept of the 10x employee being really empowered by these tools. This is how our customers are starting to get there, and it's when management can start to rethink org structure, new processes to deliver better overall output. So I want to give a little bit of context on the Glean technology underneath the hood. Glean started as an enterprise search company. First, it was indexing company content. We then added in this rich metadata and indexing of behavioral signals to help improve the search. We're indexing things like clicks, views on a document, edits on a document. And we also, more crucially, start to layer in the relationship between people and that content so that we can better infer the relationship between a piece of content and each individual person. And so this web of people, documents, projects, customers, activities going on within an organization, this became what we call the knowledge graph. And we've expanded that recently to not just be contextual to a company, but this concept of personal graph versus the enterprise graph. We pull those together to create this true enterprise context that happens within Glean. And Glean is using hundreds and hundreds of different signals across all the different systems that our connectors connect into to power a system of context. So the answers and recommendations that come back are really relevant and timely. And this is what drives the quality of the results within Glean. So to show a simplified kind of architectural view of what's happening in Glean, that knowledge graph I showed that combines the search index to create the Glean search, that really is the foundation of the Work AI. So Glean search is built on top of a layer of enterprise protection, permissions awareness, all of the different connectors that you get from Glean execute in a permissions aware way. There's no tuning, there's nothing you need to set up. It just works that way out of the box. From there, there's a number of different ways that customers will take advantage of and deploy Glean within their organization. The first way is the assistant, which is just a personalized conversational assistant that has a rich context of what you do, what data exists at your company. It can act as your personal chief of staff or brainstorming buddy. The second way that we see Glean used is through our agents platform. So with the agents, you can take those daily or weekly tasks that tend to be repetitive, maybe a bit more complicated than just using the assistant or the ad hoc uses within Glean. You can boil them down into a repeatable set of steps and then have the LLM reasoning capabilities to complete that task. So building agents can be super straightforward, and we'll see some of this when I open up the demo. People of all levels of sophistication can do it, whether it's someone technical. We also see lots of non-technical users coming in and building agents in the tool. It is really that easy. And that's part of the power of Glean is just the intuitiveness of some of those capabilities. Finally, the third way that we see Glean being used is to empower developers to build more complex agent, leveraging this underlying knowledge graph and permissioning that exists within Glean. So things like calling through our API, leveraging our MCP servers. There's a lot of extensibility features that Glean offers that developers can leverage. And we're really proud of the way that the ecosystem is just open and available for people to build on top of, whether they're in our UI, whether they're in other UIs, it's all available. So I think before we get into the demo, just kind of wanted to call out or show this list of use cases. I think if you're interested in any of these, or if any of these jump out at you, please reach out to your Glean account team. What I want you to take away from this slide is Glean is deployed or leveraged across a lot of different departments, be it engineering, sales, IT, ops, legal. There's a lot of different use cases for Glean by pulling this data into the platform. And you can see some examples of use cases on the slide here. Today, as we get into the demo, and I'll intro this on the next slide, we're going to focus a little bit more on IT-related use cases. So fictitious employee meets Sarah. She's an internal IT specialist. She owns the rollout communications and documentation for new employee-facing features. Her goal, or one of the things that she often needs to do, is just to quickly pull up accurate, up-to-date details from multiple systems so that she can create clear, consistent enablement for the entire company. So some of the applications that she works with often are Confluence, Jira, and Google Drive. There are many different connectors that Glean offers that can be leveraged here. So don't focus too much on the system connections. Glean can really connect to anything. These are just the ones that we're going to leverage today. But let's see how Sarah can actually leverage Glean to start to build some of these out. So I'm going to hop out of the slides and hop into the tool to show the platform. This is the Glean landing page. Really simple, easy to use. If I'm an employee using Glean, I come in, I just have access to the search and chat component within Glean. This chat page is that core assistant capability that I talked on previously. If we have time at the end, I'll come back and show some queries here. But if I'm an employee, I have a question about internal company knowledge, I can come in, use this chat function to ask any question, or I can use the Glean search engine to search for a specific document, piece of content, get at the source content, the source document directly. Both of those are available to me within my new tab in the Chrome browser or whatever browser I'm using. Really powerful to just steer employees towards ad hoc uses, company knowledge. Hey, I've got a random question. I need to go get an answer. This is kind of that core foundation of Glean. What we want to start with in the demo today is actually the use of agents within Glean. So in order to get to an agent, what I'm going to do is go over on the left side of the screen here, this little agents tab. I'm going to click into here, and you can see it takes me into the agent library. So within the agent library, I have all of the different agents that my company has built and published within Glean. There's lots of different governance features that we won't get into today to control, who can publish, who can build, who can use, etc. But for the ones that we've published into this environment, these are the ones that are available to me. I can filter by department, see what's popular, see what's being used by my team. Really useful way to just drive awareness, have people share good use cases, and start to federate out some of that work of building so that it doesn't necessarily all have to fall to a central team. I'm going to show you the process of actually creating and running one, and then we'll show a couple of different agents in flight. So in order to create an agent, up here at the top right, I'm going to click this Create Agent button. There's a few different modes that I have options to create these different agents. Before I start to create one, I also just want to call out that Glean provides all of these different templates for common use cases that we've seen with customers. So maybe it's a find similar tickets agent. Maybe it's draft a competitive brief, account snapshot. All of these different templates are available in the Glean Agent Builder for common use cases that we see with customers that take you 80–90% of the way there. Maybe you need to tweak something to your company's internal process, but we have these best practices for these types of flows baked in, and they're really easy to create, go in, get 80–90% of the way there, and tweak it to that last mile to be specific to your use cases. So all these templates are available on our website. I encourage you to go take a look at what's available and see if any use cases are of interest to you. For the demo today, we're going to go and build one from scratch. So I'm going to click this auto mode. We've recently launched our new, what we call the autonomous agents feature, which is an agent that's able to leverage intelligence to go and actually figure out what I need it to do and execute the task for me. So you can see here, I'm taken to a pretty simple landing page. On the left is the configuration panel, and over on the right is how I can test it. Up at the top, if I quickly click into this setup panel, you can see that I have a detailed page where I can start to configure it. I can give it instructions. I can choose what knowledge sources it has available to it. You can see that because Glean offers those connectors, it's able to connect into the different data sources. There's a few different parameters that I can fill out. But what I'd actually like to show first is the ability to vibe code an agent. So if I copy in this prompt and click run, I want it to create an agent that drafts release docs for new features. It should read the existing docs as examples, follow our tone and structure, always include value bullets and limitations. You can see on the screen here that it's actually using the intelligence in Glean to build out the agent for me. So on that other setup tab that I showed, after this runs, and it'll take a few moments to run because it needs to figure out what it wants to do, it'll have filled out that setup for me where I can then either use it or tweak, make any last minute changes to get the agent up and running. So on the screen here, apologies if it's small, but actually what that text is saying, it's showing me how it's thinking about building the agent, the logic it's doing to create the instance of the agent itself. It'll spin for a moment longer. Once it's created, we'll see that it's given the agent instructions. It's potentially limited it to a specific list of systems. All of that would be mapped to the original prompts that I had input here. So if I had said focus just on Confluence, Google Drive, Jira, it would have restricted those systems in that dropdown, and I'll show what that looks like in a moment. It optionally gives it like specific tools that it can use. So really simple, and you can see here it gives an output of the agent that it created, and if I just click apply, it shows me what it built, and then I can click into the UI here to see what it built for me. So it built a very simple prompt and instructions here. It didn't add any knowledge sources because I didn't choose to, but if I want to just filter by Confluence, Jira, I can come in and select those here. I can optionally give it conversation starters, give it actions available to leverage, common things that I might want the tool to use. So this one's a really simple example, but if I want to come in and run it, I can just come in and ask, hey, I want you to draft some documentation back to Sarah's original use case. I'll copy in the prompt. We'll see that it runs. The experience within the actual execution is pretty similar. It thinks about what it needs to do. It leverages that intelligent Glean search behind the scenes to query and get at information. It might make multiple searches depending on the complexity of what it's trying to do. And then after it runs for a while, it'll output in the format that we had told it. It'll output the citations to each piece of content that it pulled from, so that as a user, I not only see what it's pulling back, but I can actually see where it pulled that information from. I can see all the documents that it potentially might have found in search. I can see the history of what it did. Really powerful way to just very quickly get at one of these agents that is connected into all my company data, because those Glean connectors are so easy, whether it's Confluence, Jira, the Microsoft stack, Outlook, GitHub. There's so many different connectors that we have available to build these agents. And you get this really robust output. So really simple. If I come over here, you can see, hey, it gives me an overview of the feature. It tells me what the feature is, the key value, all things that someone who is trying to create enablement on like an IT feature that's coming out might be interested in doing. And if I hover over this, I can see for each item what it pulled from, or the citation for where it pulled that data from. So really important for me to be able to trust what's coming back and understand where it pulled from. And you can see this one actually pulled from over 4 different sources. I see actually 5 here. So Google Drive, Confluence, like all these different places that Glean is able to pull from. Having those different system connections is really critical for this to be able to work. So this is just one example of an agent that I wanted to show and kind of go through the process of building. There's a couple different versions of the builder. We won't go through all of them today, but this kind of, we see with a lot of our customers, this process of, vibe coding or use natural language to get me started, and then have Glean take me or modify the last mile to get me most of the way there. Hopefully you can see that this is a tool that non-technical people truly are able to use, because you can configure so much of it in natural language. So it's been really cool for me at working at Glean, and a lot of my teammates that I work with, to the customers that we partner with, just seeing people get creative, seeing the solutions that they can build to their problems, publish that back into the library, start to drive that creativity across teams. It's just really fun to see people solving those different challenges. I'll show one more just simple agent really quick. If I hop back into the agent library over here on the left, I believe the other one that I wanted to show was just a engineering historical context agent. So if I come in here and search for historical context, and we've already pre-configured a prompt to run. So this agent, what it does, I'm an engineer. I work with a lot of different systems. I want to understand why a decision was made on something. I can come in, just key in the system name. In this case, hey, we leverage an open source system. I want to get a history of it. I click run. Similar to what we saw before, Glean is going to go, it's going to search. We've programmed it where to search. We've programmed it where to look. It's going to give me an output in a specific format. So for us, this is a really common use case we see with engineering teams who are maybe bringing on contractors or have people hopping in and out of projects, to get up to speed really fast and summarize information from wikis, Google, Confluence, all the different places that an engineer might need to look to understand the history of a system. They can get that summary here. And while this runs, I think the last thing that I want to call out is a lot of what we focused on in the demo today is just summarization or finding information, which is truly really powerful. These Glean agents can write back to and update different systems. So it doesn't just have to be summarization. Think I'm a sales rep and I want to summarize and write back opportunity notes to Salesforce, or I need to update some ticket within another system. Glean is able to do that from this view, and offer to the user, here's what I want to do based on this call transcript, based on whatever I found, allow them to approve it. So really powerful from a workflow perspective, which is again powered by those different connectors. So you'll see that it ran for a bit. There's different ways to make this speed up, go faster. It depends on the amount of information that you want it to search across and how long the response is and how long it's going to run. But you can see here, I'm an engineer. I wanted historical context on the project. I just keyed in the system name, and it gave me this super robust history, told me where it pulled that information from, on why decisions were made. I have historical context on it, the decision rationalization, what trade-offs were made, why did we choose these things. This might be information that lives in a combination of Confluence, Google Drive, maybe it's in Microsoft Teams or Slack messages, emails. It could be scattered everywhere. The Glean intelligence is able to just do a great job of pulling all that information, consolidating it together into a single unified view. And it's just so helpful in terms of like productivity and kind of understanding, what's going on at the company, coming up to speed really quick. whether I want this long verbose example that we have here, whether I want something more concise. These are examples of agents within Glean, and the sky's the limit on what we've seen with customers building these. So what we didn't have time to show in the workshop today, but we'd love to work with you or give you some education on this as well, is just the core search and chat component. Very similar to this, but it's kind of the underpinning where I have an ad hoc question. I didn't want to build a reusable use case. I just want to ask Glean, hey, you go try this thing for me, find this out, or use the search engine to find a source document. Those are both really powerful components as well, but definitely what we're seeing in terms of the most demand in the market is these agent use cases that can be packaged, shared across teams, super easy to configure, and just really powerful in terms of what they're able to build and what they're able to output. So I'm going to wrap up showing the demo here and just hop back into one slide quickly. So I've got the last slide showing. Last things that we wanted to call out is just that, Glean really helps where we've seen some other providers or other technologies fall short. Some of the ways that happens, taking consumer AI into an enterprise context, platforms that are too focused on a specific vertical, or the use of other AI assistants just tend to fall a little flat. And this is where we see the largest power of Glean. So at this point, I wanted to just pause and talk about a couple of questions that we typically hear from our customers. The first is, in an environment with strict security compliance, what steps do you recommend that we take? For my customers and a lot of the customers we work with at Glean, what they'll do is they'll leverage our platform. In addition to our connectors, we can do sensitive content scanning to understand if you're overexposing potentially sensitive information. So day one, people don't come into Glean and run a search query and find, hey, this document that has sensitive information that they used to not be able to find, suddenly they can find it. We want to avoid that scenario, and there is automated reporting in Glean to help to identify those documents. I think that's the most common step one that we take, but a lot of what needs to happen really is managed out of the box. And so it's just very useful in Glean. There's not a lot of upfront work that we really do see with our customers because the platform does manage a lot of it for you. Another question we hear is about access controls. So in that library that I talked about earlier for agents, the number one way we see customers start to roll this out is allowing anyone to build an agent, but only a specific governing body can publish them. That helps to reduce sprawl, but still encourage creativity. People can take agents that they think are good to the publisher and have them publish it out for other people. We do find that because it's so easy to build, that it just winds up being something that you want a lot of people doing, but you can control and regulate who's able to publish those different agents out to the library as well. And I think the last thing that we hear a lot, I touched on this in the presentation, is, do I need to be technical to use Glean? And hopefully we saw today that the answer is hard no. It's just a really easy, intuitive tool to use. So in conclusion, my name is Mike. I'm a senior solution engineer here with Glean. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hope that this was valuable for you today. I'm going to turn it back over to the moderator, but if you're interested in learning more, please reach out to your account team. Thank you.
Awesome. Mike, really great to have you from Glean. I don't think I've had the chance to see you present before, anyone from the Glean team. So really interesting offering, really cool topic today. And I think, well, you're probably going to get a lot of people reaching out, following up with you, and I'd love to have you back and learn a little bit more as well. Alrighty, everyone, we do have our final poll up here. So if you're interested to learn a little bit more about Glean and the Glean solution, again, this is your easiest way to get this specific information that you might want. So again, data sheets, white papers, case studies, pricing details, demos, all that good stuff, that is there for you. Also, of course, linked in the docs tab, you've got two great things. Well, essentially, one, there's a report, Glean, an emerging tech innovator in agentic AI. So you can check out their full report there. But the landing page also has a book a demo button. So if you loved it, you want to sort of get your hands dirty, try it out for yourself, well, you can absolutely pop in there and do that.